What would you do if WW3 broke right now? Go on askreddit and ask what everyone else is doing on Reddit when WW3 has just started. Stay where I am. I live in Switzerland. Guess I'll die. Be first blood. Whenever I watch a war film I always feel like I'm the guy who falls out of the helicopter or doesn't even make it off the boat or finds the first landmine by standing on it. Pray they don't hit the Pornhub servers. Head to the Winchester. Have an ice cold pint and wait for it all to blow over. I live in Southern California. I'd probably be vaporized pretty quickly. Get drafted. Probably. Start collecting bottle caps and look for a German Shepherd that I'll name dog meat. Die probably. Source. Live in DC. I'm in Canada. But I guess I'd ask if I could leave work. My boss is pretty chill, but I'd have to see what she says. Probs cry. WW3 will definitely be a nuclear one. So I would lie down on the ground legs to the explosion and crawl to the nearest cemetery. Tell the few people I care about just how much they mean to me. And probably try and tick off any actually feasible bucket list items. My odds of survival would probably be pretty low. And let's be honest, WW3 would probably be a death sentence for a lot of us, considering all it takes is one dickhead to fire a nuke and suddenly we are living in a Fallout game. I mean, what else could the average civilian do, really? Other than that, head for the nearest target. I want to be close enough to see the flashes I'm vaporized. I don't want to live in a post-apocalyptic WW3 world. Go to work. Keep calm and carry on. Probably think of how to dodge the draft. Buy Bitcoin. Honestly, I'd probably spend about £200 on stockpiling my cupboards with food and water, stuff I'd use on a daily basis anyway. A few things that's relatively inexpensive like candles, batteries and the like. Probably get my old sword collection out of the shed and bring it into the house. Yeah, no, just in case. Hope that neither Trump nor Kim Jong-un know where Austria is and go on my merry way. If WWII should break out in Europe, however, I'd nope out of there and move to Canada. Austrians tend to not do well in world wars. I don't think people realize how potentially awkward the situation would be on the internet providing it stays up during a new world war. One half would take the whole every person from such and such country is now my mortal enemy despite the fact I have no idea who they are and have never met them, and the other half would try to keep the peace, reminding people that it's governments at war, not the people. We are just pawns on the chessboard. Since I have recently become a father, this thought is increasingly more scary to me than it used to be. I want to care and protect my wife and son. So I do have a sort of plan actually, if it were to really break out. We live in the Netherlands, which is probably not a good place to be. Easy to nuke. Lots of casualties. My plan would simply to move to Canada. Find a small town that is relatively self-sustaining. It also needs to be a good distance from any of the major cities or any of the army bases. Basically a town with zero tactical significance because of the sheer size of Canada. It is probably one of the safest countries to be in during a WW. Haven't done any homework as to what town exactly, but I suppose I really would if the threat increases. Well, assuming that the US would be attacked either by a nuke, a chemical weapon or some sort of above ground nuke causing an EMP, the best first course of action is to attempt to find a safe below ground bunker or basement at the least to attempt to wait on the initial strike. If time permits, it would be best to get as far away from any major city as possible. Any personal firearms and ammunition I could get my hands on would also be a priority, followed by water and then food. If I had not already done so, and again time permitting, I'd attempt to contact my family to designate a place for us to all try and meet at outside the city, preferably in the mountains. You'd have to expect that anyone who decides to attack the US in an actual WW3 scenario would be attacking with the intent to severely disable the country in one strike. Anything less, and whatever country it was, would have missed their chance for major damage. As such, You should prepare for a living situation where your basic needs are not at all met any longer. How will you get water? Food? Shelter? Do you have a radio? Something warm? Canned goods? Non-perishable food? Do you have a means to defend yourself? Your best neighbor might become your worst enemy if you have supplies and they don't. So you need to be able to protect yourself from anything. Read the book. 1 second after. It's a very eye-opening fiction book about a family after a rogue nation detonates an imp over the eastern US. You will read it and understand just how screwed we could easily be in the US. I'm very surprised no one has ever made a movie of this book, or at least a similar plot. Wash my pants cause I would have shitted it. Take my solar charger, audiobooks, and camping gear. Go up to the Swiss Alps. I am not having any of this shit. If they managed to nuke the world over, at least I would die having listened to Sapiens. Ironically. Be happy I live in a small shit town in Sweden, where it probably won't reach me. Honestly, I doubt WW3 would involve large-scale nuclear war. Possibly none at all. But even if it did, I'm in a completely unimportant place. Off the grid and self-sustainable for quite a while. In a country that would probably be uninvolved. I'd be fine. Although, I'd worry about my family in America, and Reddit would probably suck during the war. I'm in the Army Reserve, so probably get called up to be cannon fodder. Hide behind a tree. Seems to work well in PUBG. Duck all. We have nukes in the UK. We either use them, or don't join in. Calmly wait for whatever nuclear bomb is targeted at my city to arrive, and then be instantly vaporized when it does. Start convincing a doctor I have heel spurs. Probably die like 70% of all young males do when war breaks out. Chill. I don't live in the US or Asia or Europe. So if they bomb something, it's not gonna reach us. Same as WW1 and WW2. Hope nobody attacks my swamp. Take car. Go to Mum's. Kill Phil. Grab Liz. Go to the Winchester. Have an ice cold pint. And wait for all of it to blow over. Browse Reddit obviously. Probably enlist Bo. I know this is going to sound cheesy as all hell, but sign up for the draft or whatever. My great grandfather fought, and so should I. He defended my freedom, so I will defend my unborn children's. Laughs in Icelandic. Die. Go to work. It's what I do every day. IDK. The Midwestern US is a pretty darn good place to be. I think I'll stay. I live in Washington DC. So I will likely be disintegrated. Assuming it's an attack on Guam or Hawaii. I have a plan already in place. Since my family has lived in the suburbs of DC for my entire life, I live in DC proper now with my GF. We have had a plan formulated since September 11th, 2001. Our plan. We have access to property in Southern Virginia on the western side, near Tennessee. Our plan would be to, using only back roads, head west into Maryland, then south into the Blue Ridges. We already have a go bag each. Its contents are 1. 3 pairs of long sleeve fishing pants and shirts, since they are breathable and durable. 2. 1 fleece jacket. 3. 1 long jacket. 4. Water purification pump. 5. Large knife. 6. Compass. Area code 7. 2018 Road Atlas. Area code 8-1-00 feet of Kevlar braided string. 9. A solar USB charger for shits and giggles. And 10. A fire starter. The bag itself is a small duffel. No bigger than a gym bag. I hope I will never need it. But it is always good to be prepared with certain essentials before the thin veneer of society is peeled away by panic. I'd have to get my uniform on and head to base. Kiss the kids goodnight. Hug the wife. Grab my stuff. And go to work. And probably not come back. Airborne. Use duct tape. I heard it can fix anything. A third world war might not end up being nuclear in nature. It's like how in WW2, some of the things used in WW1 were not used. chemical gas etc. because it was generally agreed this is just awful for both sides and it was a gentleman's agreement not to start doing it or the other side would as well. I think the days of seizing large portions of land World War style are over, but a third world war could be composed of numerous proxy battles happening simultaneously around the globe. Think Vietnam x30. Not necessarily apocalyptic in scale. And to answer the question, I guess try and not get drafted. Or if it's nuclear, nothing. Because everyone is probably ducked. Stay neutral. Source, I'm Swiss. Quit without saving. Grab a 2017 SS Camaro. Go onto the runway. And floor it. I work at Enterprise Car Rentals at KCI. I'd probably get enlisted in no time. Edit. Sometimes I suck at English. Sometimes. Not worry. USAF is the best Air Force in the world. The US Navy is the second best. Mad assures we won't be nuked. We have millions of people fighting age, and I'm just out of that bracket, so I'm not getting drafted. Real estate prices are going to drop, and the job market will be looking nice. Go to the Winchester, and wait for the whole thing to blow over. I do maintenance on the C5 meter model. We're already on 12-hour shifts. So they will order everyone to work 12 hours with no days off. Other than that, and more frequent deployments, nothing happens. I live in South Germany. So I'd move to Switzerland. Pretend to be a native and hope for the best. Re-enlist. Just stay in bed. I live in Glasgow, which is in the blast radius of Faslane, the UK's nuclear weapons storage. I'd be dead. I could trek to the Highlands and live it out. But what's the point? World's ducked. Odds are, it's going nuclear. Work out where the bomb is going to drop and stand right on that spot with a shit-eating grin and a pair of the meanest shades I can find. Make a nice cocktail and watch the fireworks. Try to get to New Zealand as fast as possible. Sure, it's an island and some kind of natural disaster might take place from nuclear fallout. But I'll be goddamned if I stay in America if another war breaks out with the current administration in place. Shiite. Son. No one hates New Zealand. You'd have to have had a bump on the noggin to dislike that country. Probably go home. Hug my little bro and tell him he's gonna be okay. Raise my personal army of clones. Invade Italy. Declare myself emperor of the Roman Empire and then nuke the rest of the world. I mean hide. I live in Brazil. It's peaceful here regarding to wars. I would just stock up in food because it will get expensive. And start growing vegetables and maybe some livestock on my dad's farm. Other than that, I guess it will be normal life pretty much. Die. Probably. Hope the fallout of the nuclear blast that destroys DC is weak enough in Baltimore to give me superpowers rather than kill me. Also, drink heavily. I'm actually traveling right now in Romania, so hopefully hunker down and pray there is no reason to duck about there. Become potato farmer and meet a cute Romanian girl would be the plan, I guess. Encourage countries to nuke each other. I'm ready for some nuclear Mad Maximum Wally shit. As I'm sitting in a military base, I'd go watch for and live Austrian incoming ICBMs. Eat a sandwich and probably say something like, "Oh, that's cool, guys." Thank you for watching. Like, share and check out other videos.